Kirsten.
Hi, y'all.
It's good.
Hi.
Hello, you.
You look so cute, everybody.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Sorry, just getting some water. I always get like so.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Like lots of ups and downs around COVID and sort of during the pandemic, like redirected my attention towards fertility just because that's like how I could pay the bills. You know what I mean? Just like things were so bad during the pandemic and ended up just, you know, resuscitating something from the old conceivable that's been really helping people and and mostly lots of TikTok. TikTok is so fun. I just can't get enough of TikTok.
Actually, yeah, I should get Charlie, my oldest, like 10-year-old. I should get her following your feed because she's going to be coming up to that. Yeah.
What I'm most interested in right now is like, how do we support future menstruators before they as they begin puberty? Because what I found was that it was really sad, like such intense shame around their changing bodies, around the way that other people start relating with them, going from like a little girl, around their confidence level, around their desire to do smart things. Like everything starts really fucking up as their body starts to change. And they are so hungry for information that they don't feel comfortable asking anyone, evidently, but me. You know, asking, when my first period comes, is blood going to spray out? And I was like, well,
someone to ask that to. Yeah.
You know, they're like, what if I'm at school and it just like sprays out of my pants? I was like, have you ever seen that happen before? No, but they just have good luck. You know, I'm like, no, it just, no. What's it gonna, but they said like, this is a good question. You know, like, what does it feel like when the menstrual blood comes out? And I was like, I don't know. Like, it doesn't really like a nosebleed kind of, like, I just couldn't even think of like, but
like
less.
nothing. It's a
like
sneaky
nothing.
little
Yeah,
snake.
They'll
get you in your white pants. So put on your period panties.
Exactly.
Have you seen that movie Turning Red?
I was just gonna say that.
We just watched it 2 days ago. Yeah.
We watched it yesterday.
Mimi, you forgot your pads. I wanted to die at that part of the movie. The mom shows up at the school of the main character who's 13, and the mom thinks the daughter has started her period. And she goes to the school property, and her daughter's name is Mimi. And she's like, Mimi, you forgot your pads. Or Mimi, you forgot your pads. And she's just like,
The whole class is looking.
Oh my gosh. Is it a mainstream movie?
It's a Pixar. It's the new Pixar movie. Like, it's big
on Disney Plus.
I was reading some reviews about it, and like it's so interesting because you see the adult discomfort sometimes, being like, I was watching this with my son and I didn't know, and he's 10 and like he's not ready to learn this, but this is exactly what he should be. And people feeling like, oh no, it started this conversation we haven't had. I'm like, he's 10 and he doesn't know that this is a thing yet. Like, because he's going to be
the human body
from with people in his life and stuff. And it's just so good that it was just so normal in the movie. Like, it just seems so like kind of what a mom might do, like, you know, maybe a little bit more like over the top, because the mom's over the top, but it was great to see that in a movie.
It was, like, and it dealt with like the other aspects that go along with like your first period. Yeah, it was like puberty. You could see that. Yeah, it was puberty. It was like the rite of passage into puberty, and that transitional moment from being a child to being more of like a young adult, and like just noticing like that you're like, oh my God, I'm starting to fall for this individual. Like, I'm acting all silly. Like, what's happening to me, you know?
It's like nice to see that in a mainstream
what is it called again?
Movie. Turning Red.
I was going to tell you that you should watch it with Mati.
Like, totally, it's really should, Sarah.
That's great. So it's about,
it kind of covers like the big emotions of puberty too. Like, it's not just like the mechanics, like you're going to get your period or whatever. It's kind of like, and it's metaphorical in a lot of ways. So it does a really good job of introducing ideas and concepts that are kind of hard to, you know, teach about explicitly, but like the overarching theme of the movie, you kind of get it, especially when you're a grown-up looking back at your own experience of that stage of your life.
It's funny, right? Because you're like, oh boy.
God, some of the moments were like cringe worthy. Like you were like, no, like you could empathetically put yourself in the place of the main character, and you're just like, no. But yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm definitely gonna write now. I'm like, oh, they beat me to it. I should have made that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. I have a 4 and 6-year-old, and they loved it. I mean, we talk about periods already because
my 7-year-old boy loved it.
Oh, that's
wonderful.
So good.
Yeah. So
I think you're right. I think that like too many parents that I talk to say things like, well, I'm just going to wait until my kid gets their first period. I'm like, you have missed the boat. Like, you don't want that to just be a surprise, right? And when you don't talk about it, you communicate that it's not safe to talk about. Right? They're changing. Their underwear is full of discharge, right? They have boobs. Nobody's mentioning that they have boobs now. They have to ask for a bra usually. Instead of like, what I just realized is that time is so precious and so formative about how, like, a girl, I don't know a good language, like correct language for someone who has not had their first period, who doesn't identify as a female, like future menstruator, but like just as they're becoming like a woman, right? They hate everything about it. And there's all this secrecy and shame around it. And I'm like, well, no wonder we hate ourselves. No wonder we don't value ourselves as beautiful, not beautiful like the Instagram beautiful, but like beautiful humans and interesting and valuable. And instead we're
miracle makers.
Yeah, miracle makers. Future, yeah. Like I would say, like to my girls on TikTok, I say, they're like, but how am I going to talk about this how do I ask my mom for pads? And I was like, why do you not want to talk about it? Like, I'm just so ashamed. And I was like, let's talk about that. First of all, we got bamboozled since the beginning of time, telling us that we're like dirty and filthy. And the reality is without your menstrual blood, there is no future to our species. If the menstrual blood all dries up, our species is over in 1 generation. Done, gone. And I said, plus, when you become a menstruator, you can take 2 cells and squeeze them together and make a human. You can make a human. That means that you are a superhuman. That means that when you become a menstruator, you don't just become like this dirty, filthy rag on the dirt in the gutter, but that actually you transform into a superhuman. And how do we help girls and future menstruators have that as they go through that experience of their transforming body, meaning that like I'm the caterpillar in the chrysalis, and it's like, all right, it's uncomfortable, it's awkward, but as they break out and they menstruate, that they're like, holy shit, like I'm the coolest thing on the planet. I'm a butterfly. I can make humans. And I want to see like what happens to society when that's the kind of messaging that all future menstruators are getting as they go through puberty. Like I think we'll see a very different world.
Totally, because I only really embraced it like just 5 minutes ago when I said that. No, just kidding. But like, you know what I like, maybe after I had a baby, right? And then I was like, yes, or whatever, right? And I wish that, so that means that there's a giant chunk of time where you're the ashamed whatever one, right? So I'd like to shorten that time. There might be that little, difficulty that, growth is often uncomfortable, but I'd like that to be, something that isn't prolonged for women, because it's such a shame. Like, it's just such a shame that that's the way that it is when the truth is just so the polar opposite.
I mean, have you guys read that, the essay by Gloria Steinem, If Men Could Menstruate? It's really worth reading. I mean, she just says like, if men could menstruate, if men menstruated, menstruation would be the coolest thing on the planet. If men menstruated, men would make us feel bad for not menstruating. If men menstruated, they'd be wearing shirts on the rag and they'd be like, fuck yeah, I'm on the rag. You know what I mean?
It would.
And we would be diminutive because we did not menstruate. Like, it's just,
you can't even do this.
You can't even do it
if you tried.
Exactly.
I want that shirt for our swag shot, Sarah, FYI.
On the rag.
Yeah, and I'll wear it when I'm not on the rag too. Mysterious.
I have so many t-shirts. I want to make one that says on the rag. I want to say fuck yeah, and I want to say can't touch this. Because it's like, we get bombarded with so many messages about, we're not good enough, all the messages that aren't useful to us. And I just want to like wear a t-shirt every single day. You just say, can't touch this. Can't touch this. No
Counter
matter what
message.
you do, can't touch this. You just for myself, even because I'm on camera, maybe I'll do it backwards, even so that when I'm on camera, I can remind myself, can't touch this.
Can't touch this. Yeah.
Watch out, Hammer will come get you. I heard he's not good with money.
Probably.
You know what I mean? Like, that's mine.
I'll give him a cut. Would it be great if I wore my Hammer pants?
Remember those?
And do a TikTok of doing the hammer dance. Whoa.
Sarah loves doing the hammer
Obviously,
dance.
yes.
Any excuse for the hammer dance.
I was like,
See her go.
book interrupted.
Okay, so I've been sitting out here for a while trying to do my sit spot for our new or Robin book, but I have yet. Oh, do you see it? See, there's one bird there. I finally saw a bird, and now I'm probably interrupting the whole ecosystem by talking out loud. There we go. Here I am. My interruption. I actually see a bird.
Book interrupted. Piece that as I talk to more and more people, just our worthiness is so low. Like so often people get choked up when I say like, actually you're worthy of that. You're worthy of getting all of that, even without doing anything or being anything. Like people always cry when I say that. And I'm like, all of us are so struggling with our own worthiness, and I think this comes back to the beginning of this conversation. Kim, like society told us you're not worthy, you're gross kind of, and you got this defect of menstruation, and it's just such like sand in the eyes of just trying to keep us down.
Yeah.
And small, and
also like sometimes people like to as a general thing, like that we talk about a lot in our house, is that when people are putting something down or whatever, sometimes it's because they don't understand it. And so when you misunderstand, you have fear, and fear can make people do terrible things. Right? Like,
yeah.
Well, that's like
absolutely
in line with what I was going to say. Like, it's not just your period. You can see when you trace it backwards, just how not even worthy of knowing about were women in the you know what I mean? Because of the male dominant history. And so it's just that, like what you're describing, where it's just that byproduct. Like it's just ignorance, and it's translated. I mean, it could even be worse. It could be active oppression. Could be. Do you think, guys? Like you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, so it's not just
show me the evidence.
It's just yeah. That's like that thing, right? Where it's like, well, the water's fine, and then the other person's like, what's water? You know what I'm talking about? Like. Anyway, it's I just keep thinking about that whenever you speak, Kirsten, because it's so insidious, I guess, right? It's not just talking about it openly, because there's still messaging in our air we breathe, right, about why it's not okay. So it's quite a uphill battle to try to rebrand or like reprogram women in general.
Well, because when you go to the drugstore to get your tampons, if you don't order them online, you have to go to the sanitary aisle.
Sanitary, because you're
like, look at the labeling.
Yeah.
Right. Deodorizing, and, so many women on my lives are like, how do you get rid of chronic bacterial vaginosis? And I was like, you have to stop using all that weird soap on your crotch.
Yeah. Products made by men.
Right. It's like make your crotch, your pussy does not need to smell like strawberry, and all of that fragrance and strong soap is killing all the good. It's a double-edged sword, right? It's like a money.
It makes you more stinky.
It does, right? So it's like you use the strawberry vagina soap, which I just infuriates me, and then for a second you smell like a strawberry, and probably still tastes like shit, like
artificial
chemicals.
Strawberry,
right? And then it kills off all the bacteria. Then you get BV. Then your crotch really does smell like a dead fish. Then you wash more, and then it's more fishy and more itchy and more raw. And you're like, I can't get rid of it. Wash more. And they buy more, and like just water. And like, I can't do that.
And yet nobody's talking about the smell of a sweaty testicle, which I'm sure it's. You know what I mean?
never talking
delicious.
about it.
No, it's not even that they don't talk about it. They talk about it, and it's almost like a matter of pride.
It's just like that same thing we just talked about.
Or whatever.
Balls.
Smell. Everybody knows when you say like ball sweat smell. Everyone's like, yep, but it's not like a thing that's embarrassing.
It's perfectly accepted.
Yeah,
It's
it doesn't
perfectly
evoke
accepted. It's like,
shame.
It doesn't make you disgusted.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a guy
sweaty
comes back
balls.
and he's like, damn, a fucking
Right.
like, and then if we have like this tiniest bit of sweat smell, they're like, baby, you smell funky. You need to go take
Deal with
up.
that.
Why don't you
Deal with
smell
that.
like a strawberry? I love
You
to kiss
smell like a-
strawberries.
Because are we having salmon with strawberry sauce tonight?
Sicko.
Boy.
But I mean, I think the evidence, like I just made a TikTok a couple days ago that was like, why do you feel smelly? Like, why do you sometimes smell, are smelly sometimes right after sex? And it's basically because men's sperm is very alkaline and our vaginas are a little bit acidic. And sometimes their alkalinity throws off our balance and we get like a little micro infection. That got like 2 million views in 3 days because the topic was like, do you feel smelly? Like you smelly after sex or something?
You can smell it.
Yeah.
You can smell the sex in the room.
So many women were like, oh my gosh, my mate has been blaming me for this stink for like since the beginning of time. And really it's their fault.
It's theirs.
Yeah, you're doing something to me. Yeah.
Like I didn't smell like fish before you unless you're using the strawberry smoke. So
The strawberry sauce.
Wow. Well, keep doing what you're doing because like that's at like 2 million views. It's almost demonstrating to us that's our proof that we're hungry for this, that we're recognizing something instinctively and intuitively within us. Our own wisdom knows we don't need to feel shame. We want to break out of that conditioning around this.
It's kind of hard to find information online because you Google something and the top hits are just the stuff that like has whatever
paid the most.
And the algorithm and stuff like that.
Or it's
and
from
it's not
Procter &
necessarily
Gamble.
good stuff. Your top hits might be like, you're smelly because you're dirty. Like it's hard to find like the good information.
It's Occam's razor.
It's like there's so much now, like the internet has so much that almost like it has nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
hard to-
Right.
Right? It's like, what's the point sometimes, right? And
Well, and even on TikTok, sometimes when I make controversial like content like that, that's informative, and I try to be as like data backed as possible. People will pop in and be like, "Don't listen to her. She's not a doctor. This isn't true." I'm like, "Here's the link to the study." That like on my fertility one, because I say a lot of controversial stuff on my fertility, they'll often say like, "She's not a doctor." I'm like, you know what kind of doctor I am? I'm the doctor your fertility doctor goes to when she can't get pregnant. That's what kind of doctor I am.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, never mind.
Never mind. Yeah.
I'll put a baby in you if you're not careful.
Then I'll make chocolate strawberry.
I'll show you what kind of doctor I am.
Supernatural one. Put a baby in you. I don't even know who you are. Zap it over to you. Yeah.
Well, we only have 5 minutes left. Thank you so much for coming back on. We just love you.
I love you. I love you guys so much. I was like, I thought that I screwed it up and missed it this morning. I'm like, damn it. Not self-love. You're such a loser. Why can't you keep up your schedule?
Right.
After I did that, I just looked at the calendar and I'm like, okay, I'm good. I can watch some more Marvelous Mrs. Maisel in bed and drink tea for a little bit longer.
I'm worthy. And I'm worthy.
And I'm worthy,
Yes.
even if I struggle to manage my time.
Say what your TikTok station is.
Oh,
and your
yes.
website so people
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So if you want to connect with me, the best way is on my website. If you go to the chat button, it actually goes to my phone. So that's the easiest way to get in touch with me, foreverbrazen.com. I guess that'll be in the show notes. If you want to follow along on the journey on TikTok at @the_expert. And if you're struggling to get or stay pregnant and you want to find out, we just developed a scoring tool to predict the likelihood of natural conception. And then a strategy to help people to improve those things. So you can get that also at foreverbrazen.com. You just scroll down to the part about fertility. If you have a preteen who wants to know when they're going to have their first period, they can also take the assessment, when's my first period going to come on Forever Brazen also.
that's great.
cool.
Ooh, I'm gonna do that
Cool.
for Matty. Yeah.
I was like, you've got your period,
That's
Sarah.
fantastic.
Not for me.
Doesn't go back in time.
Too late, Sarah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
and
would have done it though. Such a planner. I would have been like, when?
Totally.
Exact
I'm
day.
busy on
Ready.
Tuesday.
they really, it's not like it's an early kind of version of it. It'll get better as we collect more data, but it's within like 3 to 6 months accurate. So
It's not bad.
Oh, that's great.
Like
Yeah.
it's better than not knowing it all. Like grade
Yes.
7 or grade 8, or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, it's always hard to say goodbye, Kristen.
Yeah,
I know.
True.
It's really fun.
Okay.
I really enjoy you guys. I wish we could all
Right.
like go on vacation together or something.
Totally.
Yeah.
If you've enjoyed these video highlights, listen to the full episode on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember to like and subscribe and ring that bell to be notified when new episodes are published. Find out more by going to www.bookinterrupted.com.
On Book Interrupted.
never forget, every child matters.